The September train arrived late in Corden, and Nora Fenn stepped down carrying a worn carpet bag and a torn letter. She was 26 years old and had traveled from St. Louis after months of correspondence with Thomas Holt, a rancher she expected to marry. But Thomas was dead. His brother Warren told her the fever had taken him 6 weeks earlier and coldly explained that he had no use for a woman arranged for his dead brother. Nora stood alone on the platform with only $1.43 in her pocket. The return fare to St. Louis was $2.60, leaving her with no way home. She folded the torn letter and held it tightly, trying not to let her fears show. A man named Caleb Marsh had been loading feed sacks nearby. He was in his middle 30s, weathered from years of ranch work, and unlike Warren, he did not look at Nora with judgment. He simply asked whether she had eaten. When she admitted she had not, Caleb took her to a small diner and bought her coffee and cornbread. Over dinner, Nora explained her history. She had worked as a seamstress and had spent 4 years assisting Dr. Emmett Hartwell in St. Louis, where she had learned to keep records, prepare medicines, and care for patients. Caleb listened carefully. Then he offered her a job at his ranch as a cook and housekeeper, with room, board, and $10 a month. Nora accepted. Caleb had 2 children, 7-year-old Mae and 4-year-old Danny. The ranch was 3 miles east of town, surrounded by open Kansas grassland. The house was plain but sturdy, though the kitchen and garden had been neglected. Nora immediately began restoring order. She organized the pantry, cleaned the root cellar, revived the garden, and prepared proper meals. Mae watched her cautiously, while Danny quickly became fascinated by her. Within days, Nora's quiet determination began changing the household. As October passed, Nora became an important part of the Marsh household. Mae began trusting her, and Danny followed her everywhere, happily telling her stories about the barn cats and mice. Caleb noticed the change too, though he rarely spoke about it. Then one cold October night, Danny woke with a severe cough. Nora immediately recognized the sound from her years working with Dr. Hartwell. She prepared steam, stayed beside the frightened boy, and calmly helped him breathe until his condition improved. Caleb remained nearby throughout the night, watching Nora care for his son. By morning, Danny was sleeping peacefully. Caleb thanked her quietly, and Nora simply replied that caring for people was what she knew how to do. Soon afterward, trouble returned in another form. Agnes Whitmore, Warren Holt's cousin, believed Caleb should marry her niece Clara from Abilene. At the harvest social, Warren cruelly reminded the gathering that Nora had arrived with only half a letter addressed to a dead man. The room became uncomfortable, but before Nora could respond, 7-year-old Mae stood up. She defended Nora, explaining how Nora had cared for Danny, repaired the household, and helped her with schoolwork. Then Mae said that Nora was already part of their family. Everyone fell silent. Caleb walked toward Nora and told her that he knew exactly what kind of woman she was. He asked whether she would consider making her place in their home permanent. Nora looked at him and quietly agreed. Months later, Nora and Caleb married in the Presbyterian church. Mae held Nora's hand, while Danny celebrated afterward in the snow. That evening, Nora opened her Bible and looked at Thomas's torn letter one final time. She realized the letter had brought her west, but it was not the letter that gave her a home. Caleb had seen her when she had nothing, and the children had accepted her without judgment. She folded the letter carefully and placed it back inside the Bible. For the first time, Nora knew she was exactly where she belonged.